Let's talk about how to install the SoQ laser light. This laser light is fantastic. Hey guys, it's David from Gigi's Fabric Shop, home to Juki and Janome Junkies. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to install the SoQ laser light on your Juki TL sewing machine. We're also going to show you how to install it on a computerized sewing machine, or really any of the sewing machines you might have. Installing this laser light is really easy, and they have designed it so it's just super easy to install on any type of brand or any type of sewing machine you may have, whether it's an industrial sewing machine, a home sewing machine, a semi-industrial sewing machine, you name it. If it's a sewing machine, you're most likely going to be able to install it after watching this whole entire video. If you wanted to have one laser light and have it mounted on a variety of different machines, we're going to get the mounting bases and we're going to sell them separately. So that way you could have one laser light and you can move it to different machines that you already have the mount base installed on. And if you don't know what that is, just watch the rest of the video. You'll understand what the mount base is and why you would want multiple of those mount bases. So if you're interested in this laser or the mount base, check the description of this video. We're going to have a link to purchase this laser, the mount base, and anything else we mentioned in this video. So let's get started. Okay, let's get started on installing the SoQ laser onto your machine. First, we're going to unbox the box with everything that comes with the SoQ laser so we can identify all of the different parts, so that way the install process is a little bit easier. So here we have the SoQ laser. This is the head of the laser. This is where it's going to be emitting the light for the laser to be showing on your machine. This is the USB plug, which you can plug into your machine, or a USB block, depending on what kind of machine you have. If you have a USB port on your machine, you can plug it in there for power. If not, you have to run it to the USB block, which will be plugged into a wall or an extension cord of some sort. This is going to be your on-off switch, just a little button. It's nice and audible when you press it down. And we're going to go ahead and put that to the side. Now that we've gone over that, let's go to the next thing that comes in the box. We have the SoQ laser guide. This is going to be your guide for seeing where you are at in relation to your needle. So your needle will actually fall into the center of this triangle. So you pretty much just put this underneath and you can lower your needle and boom, you push that in there, your needle will be right there. And then you can actually set your 1/4 inch or 3/8 based on where you want your laser to be set up for your project. So that's really nice, that's included. Then of course, you're going to have your USB block, which is right here. And of course, you can use whichever USB block you have at home, even if you were to lose this. Then we're going to have all of our mounting hardware. So we have our alcohol pad for wiping down the surface to allow the adhesive to stick to your machine. Then we have our 2 mounting bases here. And so this is our mounting base. This is the screw that goes into the mounting base. And then we have our second mounting base, which this one is hardly ever used. This is for machines that have like a 45-degree angle, which most Jukis you don't need that for, that I know of at least. And then we have our 4 wire brackets that are for just having a little bit better wire management and having that wire tucked away, so that way the wire is not just flopping around all over the machine. There's 4 of those. And then we have our double-sided sticky tape. This is going to be what actually holds the mounting base onto your machine. And of course, if you ever needed to remove this and you needed more double-sided sticky pad, you can order this stuff. It's pretty much just like a 3M double-sided sticky pad. Also, on the back of this box, or inside of this box as well, you will not see there's any really instructions inside, but on the back of it, there is a QR code for an instructional video on how to set this up from the manufacturer. And it also has a list of everything that comes with your SoQ laser. So that's really nice that it's got a QR code on there showing you that. Or you can just refer back to this video and we'll show you how to install it. So now that we have everything taken out of the box, we have it all labeled and what it's made for, let's go over actually installing this on the Juki TL, and then later in the video we'll talk about how you would install it onto your Juki computerized sewing machine. So now that we've gone over all the hardware, the first step to installing this is identifying what side on the base you're going to be using. So on this base you have the flat side, the indented side, and the offset side. All 3 of these different sides could be used for different style machines. 90% of the time you're going to be using the flat side of this base. So let me just give you a couple examples for each side that you'd be using. So the flat side you'd want to put onto a surface area that is flat, where you get all of this surface area touching the machine. The curved side or the rounded side would be used on the machine where there is a little bit of roundness to the machine. So you can see that this contours to the machine really, really well, allowing the surface area to stick to the machine nice and evenly. And then of course the rounded side would be, I don't really have an example for this machine, but it would be on a machine where there's a Janome, actually the install video that they provide kind of shows you where you'd use this offset side. And it would be for an area where there is kind of like a 90 degree, rounded 90 degree, and that would stick in there, and this whole area would have a good surface contact with the machine to allow it to stick nice and properly. Now the next thing you want to identify on the mounting base is where you actually insert the laser. So on the mounting base there is a, there is a area where the laser will not go through. So you have a 50-50 chance of putting it in the right side. The side that it should be going through should be the side where it is perfectly cut out into a circle shape, not the side that is kind of rounded and beveled. That's the side where the laser should be emitting out of. So you can actually stick the laser through the right side and it goes nice and easy. And then it bottoms out on that beveled edge, and that's how you know which one is the right way. Now the other thing is there is this extra mounting base, and this is for machines that have a 45 degree angle on it. There's not very many machines that actually utilize this, but if you had that machine, you would actually put this onto the main mounting base, just like so, and then you would install this piece to the machine, like that pretty much, and this is where you'd put the sticky piece. But on, I'm pretty sure all of the domestic Jukis, you won't even need this. So we can just put this to the side, and you could save that for a later date. Maybe you get a machine that you need that. So when mounting this laser, there is a variety of different ways you can do it for each machine. There's not one way for every machine. You can mount it a million different ways depending on what machine you have. So I'm not going to tell you the way I'm going to teach you today is the only way. I've seen multiple people mount their laser in a different way on a Juki TL, but I'm going to show you the best way that I have found. So when finding the best way to mount it, what I like to do before I stick anything on the machine or get anything ready to actually be adhered to the machine is I like to unravel my cord and plug it into a power source. Okay, so I'll plug in my laser light into the power source and turn it on so it is actually showing the laser. And then I'll go ahead and put it into the mounting base like so, pushing it down all the way. And once I do that, I will use the side that I think fits the area that I'm thinking about mounting this the best. So on this Juki TL, I'm going to be using this flat side on the inside of this area right here. And I'm going to rotate this laser. So when the laser is in here, you can move it every direction, a 360 direction, but you can also rotate it like this as well. So I'll put it in here, I'll hold it on the machine, and my goal is to get it where it goes pretty much all the way up to the needle and then emits all the way forward. And then of course, if it goes behind the needle, that's great too, but it really just needs to be at the needle and forward. So you can put the foot down and kind of get a better idea of what's going on there. And so in this area right here, I can mount it all the way up here even, and it's still hitting the needle and in front. So I know that's going to work great. And now I can kind of just decide where I want to stick it, whether it's on the back side more or in the front more. You kind of just pick where you want to go, down more, up more, whatever you think is going to be the best spot for you based on what you're sewing and it's going to be out of the way. I've also seen people mount this over here with the curved indented side of this base. They put it down here and they put it right there. But I don't really prefer this method over here because I have a hard time getting the laser to go to the right side of the needle on this angle. And then also this door is made to open, so if you have it there, it's going to be kind of in the way. So I think on the Juki TL, the best place to mount it is going to be right here on the side of the machine. And this, of course, is going to be the process you're going to go about doing on any machine you're installing this. You're going to first figure out where you think is the best spot, least in the way, best way for the laser to emit on the needle and in front of the needle. And you also want to make sure the laser can go on the left side and the right side of that needle, so that way you can set up your alignment guide and hit a 1/4 inch to a 3/8 on the left or the right side of that needle bar. So now that I've decided I want to mount it in this area, I can go ahead and turn off my laser and take it out of the mounting base and get ready to actually install this onto the machine. I will first grab my alcohol pad, get that ready to go, but then I will actually grab this screw and install it into the mounting base and just screw it in. And what this is doing is clearing out any, this is 3D printed, it's clearing out any burrs in the base, so that way it's nice and clean when you go to actually use this. So I just screw it in first, then I go ahead and unscrew it. Now I see all the threads are clean in there, and then I can go ahead and start getting this installed. So I'll clean off the surface area in which I'm going to be installing that base with the alcohol pad, and then I'll clean off the soft or the flat side that I'm using on this machine. And of course, if you're using the other side, you can clean that off too. This is just getting the oil off of it so that the 3D pad or double-sided sticky pad sticks to the machine really well. And I'll stick it to the mounting base. Doesn't matter where it is, you just want it to be nice and centered into that flat side of the base. Push it down nice and strong so that way you know it's stuck on there real nice and good. And you'll see there's two different double-sided sticky tapes. You're going to want to use the larger one when you're using this mounting base. If you use the 45-degree angle one, that's when you use the smaller one. So now that I have that removed or stuck on here, I can remove the other side of this tape, which this is kind of hard to get the tape off when you have very short nails. Okay, so I grabbed tweezers because my nails were not working. You're just going to grab the little edge of that double-sided tape cover thing. So now that I've got that removed, this is a really important part. You want to make sure you're installing this base in the right side, so make sure that beveled edge is down and the open circular side is faced up, because you need to insert the laser from the top down. So we're going to go ahead and turn it back on and get it kind of in line how we want it. And I'm going to install it in the center here towards the bottom. That looks real good. And then I'm just going to push it down onto the machine, and you want to just hold it on there with nice even pressure for maybe like 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, however long you want to hold it there, to ensure that tape is nice and stuck onto the machine. Now that it's stuck on there, if you already have the laser light installed like I did, I like to kind of install it with it on so I can make sure I'm sticking it in the right spot still. You can just leave it there. If you haven't already done that, I recommend holding the bottom of this when pushing this laser in, so that way you don't accidentally push it off the machine if that sticky-sided tape isn't on there fully already. So now that I have that installed, I can go ahead and turn off the laser light, unplug it, and start running my cable where I want it to run, so that way it's nice and tucked out of the way. If you guys didn't already know, we are JukiJunkies.com. We have a variety of different Juki sewing machines, accessories, notions, and much more. If you're interested in this product, or you're interested in anything Juki related or sewing related, click the description of this video to find the link to shop JukiJunkies.com. We are a small family-owned business just outside of Tampa, Florida, and we take a lot of pride in our customer service and our support, and our shipping is extremely fast. So check out JukiJunkies.com at the end of this video, so that way you can check out everything we have to offer on our website. So now that we're ready to put our little brackets on to hold this wire, the best way to do this is kind of figure out where you want this wire to run to your power source. So on this machine, I'm going to probably put a little sticky right there, and then I'm probably going to run my cord from there to like right here, put another sticky right here where my thumb is moving, and then I'm probably just going to plug it in. So I probably won't even use all 4 of these. All I'm going to do is just clean off this surface area with my alcohol wipe, and then once I do that, I'm going to stick my little bracket right here. Boom, and then a little bracket right over here. I'm going to clean off this area real quick and go ahead and stick this pad on there. And again, push it down and hold it there for a couple seconds so you know it's stuck on there nice and well. And then you can go ahead and push your cable on there just like that. And then now I'll go ahead and put my other bracket over here. And remember, when you're running this cord, you want to make sure that it's going to be out of the path of where your thread is going. So it's important that when you're running this, it's below your thread spool. I recommend, so that way there's no chance that this thread can get caught into the cord or any of these brackets. So always make sure when you're putting these brackets on your machine, you're running it kind of below the line of where your thread sits on your machine. We can go ahead and plug in our power cord into the wall, and I'll just leave this kind of over here. And you can get creative with how you want to stick this onto your machine, all this cable. You can use all 4 clips and ravel it up and make it even prettier and whatnot, but this is just about how simple and easy it is and how I would like to install it on my TL. So whenever I install these lasers or LED lights, whenever there's those brackets for these cords, I like to do as little as possible because I'm constantly moving these between machines. So if I put all 4 brackets on my machine, then I won't have any for my other machine. But also, sometimes when you stick all those things all over your machine, when you go to move it, or maybe you don't use that accessory on your machine that much, then you just have so many things stuck on your machine, they're kind of hard to get off. So I like to do the minimal. That way, when I move it between machine to machine, it's just easier and the machine stays cleaner, and that's all you really need. So you can see my wire just goes through here, goes through the bottom of the table, and I have my clicky right here underneath the table, which is nice. And if you're wondering what table this is the ELEANOR from Arrow, and it's an adjustable table, so it goes up and down if I want to sew standing up or if I want to sew sitting down. And it also has this custom insert that you can order for it, so it's flush with the table. And then you can, of course, lift up this table so it's all just a normal table. So this table is really, really cool. Comes with a little extension on the side. Very nice work surface. And if you're interested, we'll put a description in the link of this video. Or we'll put a link in the description of this video, sorry. Okay, so now that we have everything plugged in, ready to go, the final step is obviously turning on your laser and getting it lined up so that way it is on the needle and perfectly in front of it. So what I like to do to make sure it's lined up is I like to put this little alignment guide here, push it down, put your needle down, make sure the needle goes in the center of this little triangle, and it'll just guide itself to the middle if you just push on it. So now I know it's in the middle, and I'm just gonna move this laser so it's perfectly in line with the black line, which is gonna be the line that goes to my needle. And that's how you know it's perfectly straight. Okay, so now that we see the laser is perfectly in the center of that black line, you can go ahead and set the laser with this screw. And what you're gonna do is you're just gonna screw this down. And so when I screw this down, I like to actually hold the laser, making sure it's not gonna move when I screw it down, because when you tighten it down, it might move just ever so slightly. So I'm just holding it, and boom, it's tightened down, and we're good to go. So now that we have that tightened down, we know it's not gonna shift on us when we're sewing and the machine's moving. Now, if you see 2 lines, you know it's reflecting off of something chrome on your machine and shining 2 lines. So remember, whenever you're putting this base on, you want to make sure it's a clean, crisp line, 1 line, not 2, so that way you know it's installed properly. If you want to make it a 1/4 inch to the right of your needle or a 1/4 inch to the left, it even indicates that on this alignment guide. Blue is a 1/4 inch, red is 3/8, and obviously there's blue and red on each side of your needle bar or needle. So you can just move your laser, loosen that screw, and move your laser to whatever line you desire. So we now have it on a 1/4 inch on the blue to the right of the needle, right about there. And then we tighten that down. And then you do the same thing on the other side, depending on if you wanted a 1/4 inch or 3/8. So you can just kind of move this line, this laser, using this alignment guide and tightening it down wherever you want it to be set up to go. Super easy to install and use this laser. It's great for a variety of different reasons. We're gonna actually put a list of some ideas that you can use this laser for, and then also make sure to hit the subscribe button so that way when we post a video on what projects you can use this for and showing you how you would use it, you'll actually see that video, because I know that we are in the mix of making a video on what you can use this laser for on your sewing machine. Now that we've showed you how to install it on the Juki TL, let's show you how we would install it on a computerized Juki F-Series/DX, and then we will wrap up the video. One thing I wanted to just include in this video clip real quick is when you're installing this laser, you're gonna see that the laser should touch the needle and should go in front of the needle and behind the needle. Now, sometimes when you put a foot on your machine, so let's just show you what it looks like when I put the foot on there, the foot will actually block the laser just ever so slightly, just before the needle. That's not too crucial because you're not gonna really be looking in that area. It just needs to be right in front of the foot. So if you see there's a little area that is not projected where the laser is, that's gonna be okay, especially if you're mounting it on the side of the machine. The only way you would be able to alleviate or get rid of that little gap there is if you were to mount it perfectly in front of the machine, which is, or just perfectly in front of the needle where it shoots the gap in between the foot, which is practically impossible unless your machine didn't have your thread going anywhere in the front up here. So just keep that in mind. Depending on what foot you're using, you might have a little bit of a shot that is missed with when using the laser. So as you can see on this machine, there's just a little gap right there. But like I said, once your foot's down, the laser projects right in front of the foot, which is pretty much all you're going to need. You won't be looking in between the feet when you're sewing. So that's just a little bonus fact. Okay, so now we are on the Juki F600 computerized sewing machine, and this is going to be the same frame as the F series and the DX series. So this is what you're going to do for mounting on this machine. And just like I showed you on the TL, this is the same exact process. This isn't going to be a full installation on this machine because you can apply the concepts that I provided you on the TL and apply it to all the different style sewing machines. This is just how I'm going to mount it on my DX/F series sewing machine. So I'm going to put my laser into the mounting base, and I'm going to look for that surface area that I was talking about earlier. And on this machine, I'm going to be using the flat-sided part of this mounting base, and I'm going to be placing it just to the left of the number 5, because I can see that right here, it's going to go all the way back to my needle, the line of the laser, and I'm also going to easily be able to move the laser from left to the right side of that needle so I can hit 1/4 inch, 3/8 on both sides of my needle. When installing it, I always like to also use my guide, putting my laser there, holding it there, and making sure I can hit the laser to all of those spots before installing it so I can make sure it's going to work. And then also you obviously want to make sure that red line hits that needle. So when you're installing it, if it's all the way up on the top up here, your laser will not get, well actually even all the way up here it's hitting the needle. But on certain machines, if you go too high, your laser is not going to go all the way back to the needle. You see it's only hitting like right here. So you want to make sure that it's low enough where the laser actually reaches back to the needle bar, or actually back to the needle before mounting it. So on this F-Series / computerized Juki computerized sewing machine, I said computerized like 4 times, you're going to make sure that it's installed on the front side right about here. And then again, make sure that wherever you're installing it is not going to be in the way of the thread path. So make sure that it's installed just far enough to the left here, so that way it's not covering this area here, because that's obviously where your thread goes. So right about there is where you'd want to install it on this machine. So just like that, we have installed the SoQ laser light on our Juki TL, and we showed you how we would install it on our Juki computerized sewing machine. If you guys have any questions, or if you've been enjoying this SoQ laser light on your sewing machine, comment down below what you like about this laser light, and maybe some questions you have on installing, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because we're going to be posting a video on how to use this laser with a variety of different projects in the coming weeks. So when you hit that subscribe button down below, it allows you to follow our YouTube page, and you'll be notified when we post another video. Well, actually, you won't be notified, but it'll pop up on your home feed. If you want to be notified, press the little ring bell next to the subscribe button, and you'll be notified when we actually post our videos. So that's really nice, because you'll never miss out on our amazing Juki sewing videos. So just like that, hit that subscribe button, give us a like if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye-bye.